Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone is having a nice sunny afternoon, enjoying themselves in a bit of sunshine on this winter's afternoon, just like our hippos are here over at Olifants River. My name is Kerry Dupree, and I'll be joining you as your naturalist presenter for the afternoon. Just a reminder that this is a live and interactive experience. You can feel free to check us out on our app or on our website. Don't forget to register and ask your questions. You can also use the QR code on screen, and there's also a WhatsApp line where you can send through those questions. If you are on Twitter and X, don't forget to use the hashtag @WildEarth. Joining me this afternoon on our MC team, we have Jordan, and on our tech side we have Morjalefa. It's a lovely afternoon. We had quite an exciting and eventful day yesterday live at the waterhole. I must say I'm still buzzing from our sightings yesterday. It was a very entertaining day. We also started our day off yesterday with this little baby hippo and its mother on the shores of the Olifants River. The female hippo decided that she was going to be quite protective over her little one. She was chasing some other males away from her little baby hippo. And then the baby hippo decided he was a little bit curious, and he went to check out a crocodile that was lying on the river bank. I don't know if this hippo knew it was a crocodile, but he went right over to this hippo and touched it on the snout, which of course the crocodile did not like very much, before he plunged or launched himself back into the river. We also had a water buck yesterday that was also being quite curious, checking out a giant crocodile that was lounging in the sun over at Tau. So yeah, lots of activity, some awesome bird lifers yesterday over in Aldonio. We also had one ton coming to visit us. In Aldonio, we had 2 hyenas that we saw yesterday in the Sabi Sands, which was pretty awesome, while a buffalo was basking in the sunshine, not too phased that there were 2 hyenas that came down to drink. So yeah, lots of activity, lots of excitement. So we're looking forward to seeing what else we can see out there today. Isn't this little hippo adorable? So it's quite common to see hippos out of the water on a cool winter's afternoons, especially in the winter. Yeah, you often find hippos out of the water with a nice cool breeze. The sun isn't too hot and not affecting their skin too much. So yeah, lovely to see hippos out the water. Quite a rare sighting. We have a few comments coming through from Jive Bunny. Hello, Jive Bunny from the UK. Greetings. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Jive Bunny, first little baby of the show. Some other baby creatures we'll be trying to find today. We'll check in with Tammy and her baby cheetah cubs. We didn't see her yesterday. She was hiding from us, so we'll see if she's around today. And talking about hiding babies, we also struggled to see our little fluffy baby penguins over in Stony Point. They were there, and we saw little black bundles of fluff, every now and then a foot or a beak, but we didn't have a clear sighting, so we'll see what other babies we can find today live at the waterhole. So Gia sent through a comment about this little hippo. Gia, this hippo does remind you of a little dog, doesn't it? Well, it's quite a bit bigger than a tiny little dog. Got some more comments from Joanne Mello. Hello Joanne, thank you for joining us today. Another question coming in from Chase. So Chase is asking, is the hippo sleeping? So yes, Chase, the female hippo on the left hand side looks like she's having a lovely afternoon nap. Doesn't she make you just want to also curl up in a ball in a comfortable spot and just have a good old nap? This youngster of hers seems to be quite curious. So this pod of hippo that we saw them yesterday, there was probably about 4 or 5 of them on the bank and about 3 or 4 of them just in the water. So they'll spend their time in the summer months pretty much submerged throughout the whole day when it's very hot. But as I mentioned earlier, winter is a perfect time for these hippos to come out and about in the open. Hendrik, thank you for joining us today. Hendrik, good afternoon, and yeah, lovely to have you with us. We've also got a comment from Hudson. So Hudson is asking about hippos and if hippos eat grass. So yes, Hudson, hippos are herbivores. they do feed on grass. So mostly hippos will come out at night. They can walk up to 30 kilometers at night in search of grass to feed on. So mostly herbivores. I know in some cases, especially in West Africa, I know there are a few cases of hippos that do feed on meat from time to time, maybe in times of drought to substitute their diet, get some extra protein in. But mostly hippos are herbivores, so they do feed on grass. They have these very rubbery and very rough lips. So I don't know if any of our viewers have ever seen the inside of cows, like a cow's tongue or cow's lips, very rubbery, lots of little bristles, and they actually use those lips of theirs to help them chomp away at the grass. Very cute little hippo. Check out that stumpy little tail of his. It's quite a young, curious guy. Have a look at this guy. So these baby hippos at birth generally can weigh anything from about 25 to 50 kilograms, or about 55 to 100 pounds. So despite their size, even at birth, they can still swim and walk almost immediately. It's a very good defense mechanism for them, so they can survive in the environment from a very young age. Oh, looks like our mama hippo is moving a little bit. Oh, look at that giant belly. So you can see this female hippo's got quite a few nasty scratches and scars on her side there. They can get these injuries from fighting with other individuals. So a mama hippo, just like this female hippo, is very protective over her little baby hippo. So she can get these injuries when fighting with other males, trying to ward off predators from her babies, or even lions. They're quite susceptible to predators.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Alrighty, so we have some more comments here about our hippos. It is lovely to just sit here and watch these hippos. You don't often see them out in the sunshine like this. You can see this female hippo's big lips. I do love looking at their ears. If you get a closer look up at hippos' ears, they've got quite fluffy, very little ears too, to help insects from getting inside their ears. So Picasso has sent a question asking about young hippos, if they have problems getting to the surface in deep water. So Picasso, what happens quite often with hippos in a river system is they'll find nice sandy shallow banks to rest up on, and baby hippos will often sit on their mother's backs or on their heads if they are tired of swimming in the current. So yeah, hippos do need to have these shallow banks in order to rest upon. They generally tend to avoid very deep channels or deep sections of water. These hippos sure are making me lazy. I just want to go and lie in the sunshine and chill in the sun. So some pretty cool facts about hippos and their babies. Obviously, we were talking a lot yesterday about how female hippos form very close bonds with their youngsters. So they will actually mate and give birth underwater. So hippos often give birth under the water. The baby surfaces to take its first breath shortly after giving birth. So female hippos normally separate themselves from the pod or harem a few days before they give birth. And I tell you, there's nothing worse than encountering a female hippo with a tiny little baby in the river. Whether you're on a boat or on a safari, a canoe safari, these females can be very aggressive, very protective over their little ones. So young hippos do learn a lot of their social behaviors from watching the adults within the group. They do mimic a lot of the behavior from other individuals in the group. And these young hippos will generally start grazing at about 3 weeks old. So they'll nurse up to about the age of 8 months, which is the same period of the gestation for hippos. And after 8 months, that's when they'll be fully dependent on grass and feeding on grass. So even though these hippos do look quite soft and cuddly, they're very agile and very strong. And of course, the adults can be quite fierce. So with a pod of hippos, when on a body of water, the hippos to watch out for, it's very similar to buffalo. You always want to watch out for the solitary bulls, just like buffalo bulls can be quite aggressive. Solitary bulls that mark their territory, they can be very, need to be very cautious of those old boys. And then the females with babies. If you see a female on her own with a baby, to keep clear, give them their space, lots of distance. So definitely so recommended. One of the big five was recommended to be the big six of Africa. So of course we've got the big five of Africa, but hippo was at some stage considered as to be the number 6 of the big six of Africa, because they do actually kill a lot of people in Africa. So it's not just on the river, people that might be on water safaris, but also people in their fields. So they do raid a lot of villages, the fields next to villages that might be in between a village, a river, or a national park. These hippos can be a bit of a nuisance, cause some human-wildlife conflict with going out and feeding. They love to feed on maize and watermelons, but maize is definitely a specialty of theirs. They can destroy quite a large field of crops in a night. So these hippos need to keep in a natural environment away from humans, otherwise they can be a bit of a nuisance. But as long as you keep your space, give them some distance, they are happy hippos. I wonder where our young crocodile is from yesterday. So that crocodile that this hippo was curious of yesterday, it wasn't a fully grown adult crocodile, maybe just over 2 meters. He's just on the edge of the water's bank here. Looks like our little hippo has decided to just rest up with his mother. So they'll sleep most of the day, and then at night for a few hours, that's when they will look for food. Do have massive mouths. These hippos, especially the big males, can open their mouths at about 150 degrees, exposing those very sharp canine teeth of theirs. So Nikita, very good question, Nikita. Nikita's asking about how long do hippos sleep during the day. So Nikita, hippos will kind of nap on and off throughout the day. They spend most of their day resting, moving in the water. But yeah, they'll pretty much sleep most of the day. I'd say at least 8 to 9 hours during the day, or 7 to 8 hours during the day. They're sleeping as well as during the night. They only spend a few hours at night feeding. So if there's grass close by, and now it's the end of the green season, so lots of grass close to the river's edge, they'll go out for a few hours to feed and then retreat back to the water before sunrise. But in some cases in the dry season there's not much grass around, so they have to move quite far distances. Oh goodness, look at that big leg of this female hippo, giant flap of skin. Wildlife Lady is just joining us. Good afternoon, Wildlife Lady. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, it's been a lovely way to start this afternoon with our hippo friends on the Olifants River. Definitely. Oh, lions. We're talking about hippo skin and how their skin can be injured by fighting with other individuals. But in some cases, lions also, if a lion finds a hippo out of the water at night, if it's big enough pride of lions, they'll definitely give a chance and try to get an opportunistic kill. So sometimes hippos can get very nasty injuries from lions. So hippos do have quite thick skin, anything from about 4 to 6 centimeters or 2 to 2.5 inches thick, so especially around their flanks. So just like we're looking at the flanks and the back rear part of the hippos, it can be a bit of a natural defense mechanism or armor to protect them. And we mentioned about how sensitive these hippos' skins are to the sun, so that's how we know that it's probably not too hot over in the Olifants River at the moment. That's why these hippos are so comfortable lying on the water's edge. So again, these hippos, as the dry season starts to approach, you see a lot of these hippos getting stranded in pans and watering holes. So if hippos are moving from one area to another, they need to do it very strategically at night, and they also need to make sure they don't wait for too long to move to another water source, because if for some reason the pan that a hippo is residing in, say for example a big hippo bull, if he waits for too long and it starts getting too muddy and there's no big water sources near him, the last thing he wants is to be walking during the day. Their skin can dehydrate them very quickly. So let's have a look, folks. You can see incredible water that's flowing in this river at the moment. Lovely to see all this water. Let's have a look and see if we can find any crocodiles on the river's edge. Oh, there's our hippos. Any crocodiles around? Well, there are a few crocodiles that reside in this area. I wonder where the rest of the pod of hippo are. So yesterday the whole hippo pod was in this area. I'm not seeing too many hippos around. Again, with the rising currents and all this water flowing very ferociously upstream, it might have dispersed the pod of hippos a little bit. I don't think there's too much activity here. I think these hippos have decided. So we are just checking out Tembe Elephant Park, everyone. Hippos are not moving around too much. And yeah, we came across yesterday to see what activity we had here. Not too many elephants around, but lots of nyala and impala. So nice to see we have some nice big elephant bulls that have come down to the watering hole. Tembe does look like it has received quite a lot of late rains, which should tide over until the next rainy season. Lots of grass around, it looks very green, lush. Elephants are happy, lots of water to go around. I had a very lucky sighting yesterday of 1 ton over in Oldonyo. Very excited to see 1 ton, haven't seen him for quite some time. But these elephants here in Tembe, they also have pretty long tusks, very impressive. Quite large bodied. Looks like a few individuals just coming down for a drink, and then we've got our 2 other bulls that are just hanging out in the shade. They seem to really love this soft sand underneath this one tree here. Always dust bathing themselves. We'll have a bit of a quiet moment just to listen to these elephants. So lovely to see these elephant bulls here, so calm, so relaxed. We had a juvenile fish eagle a couple of months ago that was hanging out at this watering hole. I haven't seen him since, but yeah, I think with all the late rains it's dispersed some of the birds a bit. We haven't seen our little bee eaters for quite some time, or our brown-hooded kingfisher. I've seen on a few very rare occasions pied kingfisher at this watering hole as well, but it's been quite a while since we last saw a little pied kingfisher. So this current location we're at, Tembe Elephant Park, is a legendary location for elephants, also known as the home of the great tuskers. So this reserve is located in KwaZulu-Natal. It's kind of been re-owned. It's very renowned for its population of elephants, so it's really cool. I love how when we jump from one location to the next, you can see how these elephants in Tembe have such long thin tusks compared to elephants, for example, over in Okukuyu in Namibia. Those Namibian elephants, I think because of the lacking of minerals and salts in their diet, because of the very harsh conditions, the elephants over in Namibia, their tusks are very short and stumpy. They tend to crack and break a lot easier than, for example, these elephants here in Tembe. And it could be linked to the fact that there's a lot of mineral rich soils here in Tembe. You can see a lot of kind of sodak areas in this pan, around this pan, where the elephants have been digging for salts and minerals.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
So, yeah, definitely lots of really amazing locations to visit in South Africa. A lot of conservation efforts have been taken out to protect these elephants here within Africa, but also specifically here in Tembe Elephant Park. So the Tembe Elephant Park is part of the Lubumba Transfrontier Conservation Area, and that does help to connect all these elephants to each other. So to connect and preserve wildlife, so important. Come on boys, come down for a swim. Really hoping these elephants will have a bit of a swim. Oh, you can hear a little three-banded plover vocalizing there. They have a very unique call as they fly over the water. Birds have been quite quiet here at Tembe recently. We had an African jacana yesterday. That was pretty much all we saw on the birding front here in Tembe. Sometimes we have, there's a few residential pairs of Egyptian geese. If we're lucky, some hardy-dar ibises, although that sound the hardy-dars make is not the most appealing sound, I would say. See this elephant bull, I gave a bit of a dominance display towards the other bull, just showing off a little bit. Jive Bunny, these are gorgeous elephant bulls here, so it's really such a pleasure to be in the presence of such majestic creatures. You can see these elephants surely do have quite a story to tell. Have a look at this bull on the left. He's got very tattered ears. I'm sure he's walked through a lot of bush and yeah, could have many stories to share of his time on this earth. White-faced whistling ducks. Also used to be some white-faced whistling ducks hanging out at this watering hole, but with all the rains there's so much variety, so many watering holes out there for the bird life to choose from. So you do get a lot of scattered movement. Oh, here's our Egyptian geese. So you do get a lot of local movement of these birds that, even though they might be residents, they do move quite a lot in different areas and different regions due to the excess of water. So they might move to other watering holes to find more food or nesting areas, and then when the water starts to dwindle and deplete, then they come back to the more permanent water sources. I think our little three-banded plovers at the water's edge just in front of our elephant over here. So Lady Macbeth, thank you for your comment. Apparently drives in India are very different to drives in South Africa. I'd love to hear about your experience of your drives in India, Lady Macbeth. I know of quite a few of my guests that have recently been to India, and quite a few guides that have been. Definitely going to look for those tigers. I know seeing elephants and wild elephants in India is quite a rare sighting too. I know they've got these very interesting wolves called dholes, if I'm not mistaken. Almost looks like a small fox wolf kind of thing, very brown. I didn't realize such a high population of primates in India too, and of course another very popular creature to visit India for is the sloth bear. Very rare to see them, but I know the sloth bear is a very popular animal, that creature that people are or going to India to try and find. Also be very unusual for me to see a peacock in the wild. Some sombre greenbills also vocalizing, calling from the forest behind this elephant. It might be too cool for this elephant to swim, so generally find that in the winter months elephants won't be as prone to swimming in a water source as they will be in the summer months. So we have a comment from Talon. So Talon sent through a comment about elephant tusks. So yes, elephant tusks can act as quite a convenient support system for their very heavy trunks. Yeah, I just imagine carrying around a trunk on the end of your face that is like a nose that can weigh over 100 kilograms. So it's a very heavy nose that these poor elephants have to carry with them on a daily basis. So I'm not surprised that they like to rest their trunks up on their tusks from time to time. So those trunks of theirs have over 40,000 muscles compared to the human body, which only has about 600 muscles. So our human bodies have about 600 different muscle groups, whereas an elephant's trunk can have elephant's body trunk can have over 40,000 muscles. Isn't that incredible? Crazy. So elephants do use their trunks for breathing, smelling, drinking, touching, and communication. So it's a very important and essential tool, and used for quite a few different methods. They also use those trunks of theirs as a snorkel. So when they're crossing a river, you'll often just see the elephant's trunks popping out of the water. You can see he's giving us a bit of a sniff here. He's twisted his trunk around and smelling to see what's happening around him. So yeah, river crossings. I love watching elephant breeding herds crossing a river. What the babies do is they'll actually hold onto the tails of their mothers. So they'll go and walk across the river in a single file, and the little babies will hold on to their mother's tails for dear life so that they don't get washed away in the current. So Lady Macbeth, that's crazy that you saw a sloth bear in India. I don't know of very many people who've seen a sloth bear, so well done on your epic sighting of a sloth bear. Apparently they are nocturnal. And over here we have, looks like a grey heron. I don't know if he's in his full adult breeding plumage. Could be a juvenile. Doesn't look like he's standing with much purpose for hunting. Very unusual birds, these grey herons. Oh, look at that very long legs and long neck of his. Isn't that unusual? There we go. He does have the very characteristic black. Almost looks like he's wearing a bandana on the top of his head, or a bit of a Zorro scarf. Alright folks, why don't we go across to see what our cheetah Tammy is up to at the moment. So having a look here, I don't know if this is Tammy or Becky, our female cheetah. We did have a look at Becky for the first time yesterday. Tammy was hiding away with her little cheetah cubs. We couldn't see her too well. I don't think the camera could reach where Tammy was lying. But yeah, so we popped over and had a look at Becky yesterday afternoon before we ended the show. We were waiting the whole 2 hours praying we could see our little baby cheetah cubs, but she was not playing ball and out of our sight. So now we've returned to the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre over in Hoedspruit. I think this might be Becky, the female cheetah. If she looks at us, we might get a better visual of her face. Let's have a look. So Becky, from yesterday, the sighting that we had, she looks like she's a lot lighter. She's got a very light brown, almost like more tanned, if you can say, than Tammy. But basically this is an endangered species centre over in Hoedspruit. So any areas that have a lot of wildlife, it's always crucial to have rescue centres or centres that can take in these animals that might be injured or disabled and unable to survive in the wild. And this is exactly what they're doing here at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre. They have a few cheetah, some rhinos, and I think also some endangered nocturnal bird species. I think I saw some owls the other day that they've got. So yeah, the idea is if there's an injured animal in the wild, the centres will come and remove the injured animal, rehab them in the centre until they're able to be relocated back into the wild, and then they'll relocate them back into the wild if they're able to do so. But in some cases, I do know of some individuals, like wild dogs, it's quite common for wild dogs to be hit by cars on roads, also to be attacked by lions. So I do know of a few wild dogs in centres that are not able to be reintroduced into the wild because of brain damage and broken limbs. So sometimes they will stay in these centres, but what's quite good about these individuals that do stay in the centres is they act almost like a surrogate, or kind of like a surrogate mother or a companion, so a companion to any other species that might come into the centre. So at least they have a companion of their same species to kind of smooth the process of their healing and recovery before they're then released and relocated back into the wild. So Jive Bunny is saying that Tammy apparently moved the 4 cubs inside overnight. So yes, Jive Bunny, I think she already started moving them yesterday midday before we started live at the waterhole, because for the whole show yesterday we were kind of trying to see if we could get a visual of Tammy, but she was starting to move them away. So yeah, I'm sure they're in a very safe place. Beans is asking a question about why wouldn't Tammy and Becky fight. So Beans, I think Tammy and Becky are not in the same enclosure. They're in different areas. Having 2 female cheetah in the same enclosure wouldn't be the greatest idea, especially for example with Tammy. She's got her little baby cubs with her, so it wouldn't be the greatest idea to have another adult cheetah in the same area.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Abide by these rules, keep an eye out for wildlife. There's lots of organizations that do help to support these animals, also creating kind of speed humps in these areas to slow traffic down. But yeah, habitat loss can be quite a negative effect to these species as well. So it's estimated that the population of cheetah that are left in Africa is about between 5,000 to 6,000. It is quite difficult to get an exact estimate on their population. So Namibia has about around 3,500 cheetah that are left, which is one of the highest population that are left in Africa. Botswana is about 1,000 to 2,000 individuals. South Africa, you're looking at just over 1,000 to 1,500. Zimbabwe, we're only about 160, around 160 to 165. Zambia is looking at about 100, and Mozambique is only just under 100. So you can see how these small populations can fragment, and of course inbreeding can become a problem. So for example, if you see in Mozambique under 100 cheetah left in that small country, if there is not enough gene diversity, it can cause a problem with inbreeding of these cheetah. But luckily there are a lot of organizations out there that are trying their best to conserve and protect this incredible species. For example, the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center. So important to help protect these incredible cheetahs so that we have many generations to come are still able to come on safari and see a cheetah in the wild. Dark Mane Lover, thank you for joining us this afternoon. Please feel free to join in the chitter chatter. Yeah. What is she up to? Looks like she's got a lot of flies. Her tail is going wild there. So, what is bothering her? There you go. See those black markings on her face help to reflect the light out of their eyes while they're hunting. And I do love how all cheetah are very special and unique in the spots. They can have up to 2,000 spots for one individual. So crazy how they have such unique markings and a very incredible amount of spots. So I've got a question here from Hudson. So Hudson is asking if animals can get malaria. So Hudson, apparently animals can get malaria. The disease does affect different species quite differently. So the malaria that does affect animals affects primates. There are some bird species that can be affected by malaria, rodents, reptiles and bats, which is very new to me. I was not aware that malaria could be transmitted to animals as well. But I mean, it is a mosquito-borne disease, so it is spread by mosquitoes. So I guess same goes for humans. That's how we get malaria, is by the Anopheles mosquito. So animals are just as susceptible to getting malaria as humans. So Deb Davis has sent through a comment about the three amigos who hunt and travel together. That's an Amakala. So yes, Deb Davis, those three amigos are very tight-knit coalition of male cheetah, and yes, they do hunt very well. So we were chatting yesterday about hunting strategies in cheetah. So generally females, so we have a litter of cheetah. As they start to sexually mature at about a year and a half to 18 months, the females will split off on their own. So female cheetah, adult female cheetahs, generally solitary, and the males will form these small coalitions. Generally be coalition of brothers, anything between 3 to 6 individuals together, and they'll use this their numbers as a way of hunting, so for their hunting strategies. So male cheetah are generally prone to hunting in more open areas because they have more numbers and they work very strategically together. They know exactly where the other one is at all times, so they can bring down their prey, whereas females will sometimes use the benefit of thick areas in order to capture their prey. So Lady Macbeth, I hope I answered your question there about the females, if they're always solitary or with cubs. So yeah, I hope I answered your question there. So the cubs will generally stay with the female cheetah for at least for the first year to 16 months. Ooh, what's happening there? I think she's got a very intent stare on her. I think something could be moving around close to where she is. Hoping we'll be able to see those sharp claws of hers. Got these protractile claws. So cheetah's claws are permanently extracted from their feet, unlike predators like lions and leopards that have retractile claws that at rest are within their pads where you can't see their claws out. So this cheetah's claws are specially designed to act as little spikes to help them grip onto the ground while on a hunt. Have a look at her breathing there. So Julian Thomas, thank you for your information. I had no idea malaria had such a devastating impact on the bird population in Hawaii. That sure blows my mind. I wouldn't have ever thought that malaria could have such a negative impact on a population of birds. Hawaii is obviously a country with lots of water, surrounded by water, an island, and so I'm not surprised there's so many mosquitoes on that island, and so it makes sense that malaria could cause a high influx of deaths in bird species. So isn't that crazy? So Sandy Franklin, thank you for your question. So Sandy Franklin is asking, what do cheetah eat? So cheetah feed on medium-sized antelope, Sandy Franklin, but again, they are opportunistic. So when they're younger, they'll develop their hunting strategy with hunting for smaller prey, birds, smaller antelope like your little duikers or steenbok, and as they get bigger and as their hunger develops, then the cheetah will also start hunting for bigger prey. Springbok is one of their very popular prey. Springbok, impala, shucks, even at Mabula they were taking down baby zebra, warthogs, any kind of medium-sized antelope. They'll definitely take those down. The bigger the prey, the more they're able to consume, and then kind of the more they stay full for longer periods. Whereas if they just kill, if there's like those three amigos, if they kill a little warthog or a little steenbok, they're gonna have to make another kill quite soon after that. Whereas if they kill a nice big impala or a young zebra, that's gonna sustain them for quite a few days. Those male cheetah over in Mabula, generally when we found their kills, the two males were making a kill at least every 2 to 3 days. If they killed something quite big, like a baby eland, then they would not make another kill for at least 3 or 4 days. So lots of meat on a young eland there to fill up a cheetah. What is she up to, this girl? You can see the black coloration on the backs of her ears there. Again, all part of their cryptic camouflage and perfect means of finding another individual in the bush. So I'm dying to see those little baby cheetah again. They've got the very fluffy little patches on the back of their neck there, perfect for their mother to carry them on the scruff of their necks. So Danny sent through a question about cheetah and cheetah habitat. So Danny's asking, do you get cheetah by the coastal areas, and would they hunt dassies? So Danny, no, the cheetah, they like to occur in open grassland areas. In those coastal regions, the predators you'd get around there would be, I know, caracal. During COVID times, I did watch a documentary where there were some caracals that came down and would hunt for the rock dassies. I think we've even had a few viewers from Cape Town that have mentioned that they have seen some caracal down at Stony Point. But yeah, cheetah wouldn't be a predator you'd expect to see in Cape Town. Another predator you could find in Cape Town up in the mountains as a leopard. Do you know, you do get those Cape leopards that can be quite big. That's another predator that does like to feed on rock dassies. And then of course we have the otter. Your Cape clawless otter is another small predator which you would find at Stony Point in Cape Town and your coastal regions. I don't think the Cape clawless otter would hunt for rock dassies. They mostly feed on fish and crabs or little crustaceans. But it is a coastal predator, and yeah, very cool little creature to see if you ever get a chance to see a Cape clawless otter. Very rare though. I know in a lot of regions they are depleting.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
As fast as a cheetah, but for very long periods of time. Lots of endurance. Alright folks, so it seems like we do have a visual of Tammy and her little ones that have moved inside a bit of an enclosed area. We're just getting the camera set up, so in a few moments we will link across and have a look, see if we can find Tammy and her cubs. Head over to Tammy and her cubs and see what they're up to. Oh, cool. Have a look here. Isn't this cool? So it's been a couple of days since we've seen these little ones. When was the last time? The last time I saw them was on Friday. And look how they have changed already. Isn't this a cool sighting? They're suckling. Looks like a happy family. So these guys will still be blind for the first few days that they have been born. It takes quite a while for them to be able to open their eyes. They're fully dependent on their mother. In the first few days we were a little bit concerned Tammy was taking some time to bond with her little cubs. Two of them were kind of left off on their own for quite a bit. And she was not paying much attention to them, but it's nice to see that they've all kind of settled in well and they're all bonding and all together. So yeah, she's obviously very happy to be warm inside. So it's with winter approaching, I know it has been getting very cold, so it's probably why she's been inside with her little cubs, getting out of the cold weather outside. Isn't this adorable? Little fluffy bundles of joy. So again, see how they've got this two-tone coloration, so a bit of a tawny brown on their backs and almost complete black underneath their bellies. And this can be a very good way of camouflaging and blending themselves into their natural environment. So in a natural setup, you'll have the female cheetah will leave her cubs. She'll obviously have to go and hunt at least once every 2 days, and then she will come back to her cubs. So she'll stash them in a thicket or a bush. So cheetah, unlike some other animals, they don't necessarily make a den, like a hole in the ground. They will give birth to their little cubs in a thicket or a sort of a covered area. And then every few days she will move her cubs to another area to protect them against any predators that might be around. So the predators for cheetah, as we spoke about earlier, would be lion, hyena, or any predator that might walk along by. So even if you had a caracal walk past and saw some little baby cheetah, they would definitely need to be very careful of any of these predators. So she'll move them quite frequently in order to protect them from predators out there. So Dark Mane Lover, thank you for your comment. It is great to see Tammy and her cubs at the little milk bar station. As you can see, she's still quite intently taking care of these little ones, so she licks them a lot, makes sure they're clean, and especially when they've just been born, these little baby cheetahs, they need, just like most baby animals, she will first start licking the nose and face and their heads to help them to breathe for the first time, and then she needs to regularly lick their bellies and their bottoms to help them use the bathroom, which is what she's doing right now. So it kind of like activates their stomachs and helps them to be able to use the bathroom and stay regular. Look at this little one, he's having the best time. Little foot. So Talon, yes, Talon's commenting about her tail, that some of these little babies are using their mother's tail as a cushion. It's a very fluffy little cushion. These babies are just adorable. It's been very special and very precious to watch these babies over the last couple of days. We actually watched Tammy's last little baby being born. When was it? Last week, Monday or Tuesday. She had given birth to three cubs in the morning and in the afternoon, so around about the same time, must have been about 2 o'clock. we tuned over back to Tammy. We'd spent most of the day with her, and we were very lucky to watch one of these little baby cheetah being born. Definitely not something you see every day, so it was a very exciting sighting. So these little ones will normally start learning how to hunt at about 6 weeks of age. So how they do this is by following their mother and watching everything that she does. So normally by the age of 5 to 6 months, they start practicing their hunting techniques. In the meantime, these little ones, all they have to worry about is getting enough milk and staying warm, especially through the cold winter period. So Dominique Viljoen, yes, these cubs are just too cute. I didn't think they could get cuter than when they were first born, when they got all fluffy, but yeah, they are adorable. Look at these little faces. Oh my goodness. Just cuteness overload. So Mindy sent through a comment. Tammy had started moving her little ones into this enclosed area inside her enclosure. So I think, yeah, it was very wise of her to move with her little ones. So she started moving them yesterday. So again, there'll be very little interference from the team here at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center. With regards to the handling of these little cubs. Tammy will be the one solely responsible for looking after them. I know we were all a bit concerned when 2 of the cubs were left alone most of the day. I think this was the second day that they were alive. They were kind of just left alone for a very long period. We were all very worried about them, but yeah, it's best to let nature be nature take its course, and Tammy did. I think she was just a little bit stressed after giving birth to all these little creatures, but yeah, she is being a very good mother, taking very good care of these little ones. So she started moving them herself into this enclosed area, which with the cold temperatures in the mornings and at night, I think was a very wise choice. So Darkmane Lover, thank you for your comments. So Darkmane Lover said that these little ones were born on the 30th of April. So that was last week Wednesday they were born. So yeah, the first 2 were born at cubs were born at 5 a.m. Followed by another one at 6 a.m. and then there was a 9-hour gap, and then the last little cub was born, which is very strange. I've never heard of that before, and even when I've been speaking to some people about birthing intervals and predators, most of the research that I did or people that I spoke to said that normally maximum the birthing period can be about 3 to 4 hours, but it's very rare to have a case where a female cheetah has given birth to her last born 9 hours later and is not a stillborn. So it's very lucky that this last little baby was actually still alive. Yeah, and she has 4 healthy, happy baby cheetahs. Very busy cleaning them. Isn't this cute? You can see some of these little babies, you can start seeing their little spots. So we have a question here from Darkmane Lover. How many months will the cubs be completely weaned? So Darkmane Lover, generally at about 3 months of age is when the cubs will start to be weaned from their mother. 3 to 6 At about 3 to 6 weeks, they'll start crawling around, moving around a lot more. They'll start teething at about 6 to 8 weeks, and then that means by 3 months they will be fully weaned and depending solely on meat for feeding purposes. Just going to have a look here for the call of these little baby cheetah. So when we were watching the cheetah on their first day, I think I did take a video somewhere, yes, of one of the little baby cheetah calling the female. So this is a few hours after it was born. I'm going to play this call here. So this is the last baby cheetah that was born, calling the mother.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Oh, look at these little guys go. They're really enjoying their little milk station. So cute. So when these cubs start getting a little bit bigger at about the age of 5 to 6 months, again, they'll need to consume at least 1 to 2 kilograms a day. So that's for a sub-adult cub, but the adult cheetah, again, if they don't have a decent meal, they need to consume at least 3 kilograms a day. So yeah, very much dependent on what they eat and how often they eat. They'll spend the next couple of weeks pretty much just feeding and napping and feeding and napping. It's such a hard life for these little baby cheetah cubs, isn't it? So it's quite interesting. I think the male, or the father of these little cheetah cubs, is actually a plain male. He doesn't have as much spots on him. So you get these, of course, like different pigments or different colorations in cheetah. just like humans, each of them have their own unique spots, patterns and colorations. Just like we can kind of see the difference between Becky, the other cheetah we were just viewing just now, and Tammy. They're all very unique, very different. So unlike leopards or jaguars, cheetah spots are actually solid black, not rosettes. So they do cover the entire body, which does include the limbs and their face. And what I find quite interesting about like black leopard as well is you'll still have, even though they have this black coloration and they seem like they're completely jet black, they still have those rosettes underneath their black coats. So you can still kind of see like a Giza, for example, the famous leopard in Kenya. You can still see in some of those photos of her at night, she can still see very clearly on her rump, she's still got her spots. So the black spots are not entirely fur deep, so if a cheetah is shaved, which does happen if they have operations or injuries and they need to operate, they will shave a cheetah just like with humans. You will actually see the spots, they do remain on the skin, so it's a pigment from the skin. So yeah, it's a melanin or melanin based coloration, so the black colorations of the spots is caused by an increased melanin pigment, and the golden tan background is due to another different, I think it's called pheomelanin, so it's a lighter form of pigment, so you get light and dark pigment colorations. So yeah, the king cheetah is also a different variant, so this is a very rare coat pattern feature. So again, very dark, very bold, elegant blotches and stripes, normally down their neck and back. So it's rather distinctive spots, and it does cause a bit of a recessive mutation in the genes. So they do have facial tear markings which are also black, and this is all part of their genetic makeup and melanin. Oh, look at these little things and their tiny little tails. So Mindy, thank you for your question, Mindy. So Mindy's asking if these cubs will be able to be released into the wild one day, and how can they learn how to hunt from the mother while in captivity. So Mindy, I'm not too sure how they would do it here at the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre, but in most cases, whatever wildlife can be released back into the wild definitely does get released into the wild, and a very good way for these little cheetah cubs to learn how to hunt in captivity, and I do know this does happen in some centres and rehabilitation centres, as they will feed them in the enclosure live prey, so the female will need to catch and kill her prey if she actually wants to eat, and it's amazing how quickly the natural instinct kicks in, and then the little cheetah will then learn from their mother in that way. And then a slow release system will then be the cheetah would then maybe be released into a bigger enclosure, and then again they would put some prey species in there so that they can learn to hunt, and make sure that before they release them into the wild they're fully self-sustainable and able to hunt and kill for themselves. And then in some cases you might get a game reserve that doesn't have any other predators in, which might be a very good candidate for these cheetah that have been born in captivity to then still be released into a reserve, but a reserve where they can be used to being on their own and being out in the wild before they actually go onto a reserve with other predators. Because yeah, to release them straight into the wild where there's a lot of other predators might be a bit tricky. Yeah, so it'll kind of be we call it a soft release, so it'll be a bit of a soft release back into the natural environment. She's very busy licking and cleaning these little babies, isn't she? So also, just once these babies had been born, we did see how Tammy was very incessantly cleaning all the afterbirth off. So just as with a lot of antelope species, as soon as you've given birth to your little one, it's very crucial to remove any afterbirth that might cause and attract any predators. So yeah, it's quite crazy if you think about, like, I recently saw a video of a buffalo and impala feeding on afterbirth. It was not the most pleasant sighting, but they want to get rid of all of that afterbirth, any smells that might attract jackals and hyenas around, because they're in a very compromising position with a little one that has just been born. So you want to make sure you can do everything possible to protect these new generations of wildlife. So Juicy J is asking about how Tammy got her name. Juicy, I'm not actually too sure. I'll have to pop the Hoodspruit Endangered Species Center a message on Instagram, maybe see if how Tammy received her name. Obviously there's Tammy, Becky, and what is the plain? I think his name is Plain Male, even though he does look like he has spots. I saw some pictures on the website that does look like he does actually have spots, but yeah, I'm not too sure how Tammy got her name. So the father of these cubs is called Spotless. He is also a regular cheater, and hopefully we'll see more snippets of him. I know I've been saying this, and Hoodspruit Endangered Species Center said they will try release some more footage of him on their Instagram. So keep a lookout on the Facebook and Instagram pages. Maybe we'll see more videos of the father of these little cheetah cubs. So Tammy is a 9-year-old cheetah. Cheetah lifespan in captivity, they can live up to about 13-14 years old, but generally in the wild they live between 10 to 11 years old, maybe 12 maximum. But yeah, in captivity they can live a little bit longer. Jive Bunny, apparently Jive Bunny was watching earlier today and mentioned that the vervet monkeys were around the enclosure this morning. So Jive Bunny, vervet monkeys wouldn't be a species that you would be concerned about with baby cheetah, but baboons, I tell you, baboons, if baboons came past a little nest with some baby cheetah in there, they would definitely take a chance, and I think they would probably eat them. Baboons are omnivores, vervet monkeys are mostly frugivores and herbivores. So yeah, baboons I think would eat a baby cheetah. I mean, even at Mabula on many occasions we've had the baboons chasing the cheetah off of their kills. So yeah, a female cheetah would need to be very cautious of any baboons in the area. Oh, look, she's licking his bottom, hoping he'll use the bathroom. How cute. Alrighty folks, well, why don't we head across to Rosie's pan and have a look, see what has arrived at the watering hole. Alright, looks like we've got some elephants that have come to the watering hole. Is it a couple of bulls, maybe a breeding herd? I know the buffalo herds are quite frequent in visiting this watering hole. Maybe it's just a solitary bull on his own, coming for an afternoon drink. Remember once we had a live at the watering hole where this pan was completely filled with buffalo. A big breeding herd of buffalo came down in the late afternoon and you couldn't see any water, there was just buffalo everywhere. Where's this elephant gone off to now? No, there's a little family of dwarf mongoose that live somewhere close by. Sometimes come down for an afternoon drink as well at this watering hole. It's probably just a solitary young elephant bull roaming around on his own.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
If you're heading to Zimbabwe, doing some road tripping, I would recommend definitely very high clearance vehicle and some very good suspension, some good shocks. The road networks have kind of crumbled a little bit in Zim. In fact, I prefer the roads through the national parks. They're actually better than the national highway. So yeah, I hope that's helpful, Tinas. Are you planning a trip to Zimbabwe sometime, Tinas? Yeah, definitely keep a lookout. So much wildlife to see. We're chatting about South Africa and how there is so much wildlife and so many different destinations to travel to in South Africa as well as Zimbabwe. Lots of different destinations. So if you would like to travel with us and our Wild Earth team, please head over to our website. So Wild Earth Travel does bring you a very authentic and personal safari experience, connecting you with the wonderful wonders of Africa. So feel free to explore the landscape and wildlife from Wild Earth. So you can scan the QR code on screen now, or don't forget to check out our website or email us at info@wildearth.travel in order to see some of the very unique travel experiences that we have waiting for you to join us. There are limited spots are available on some of these special adventures, so make sure you go and check out those different venues and locations that we have and book your spot while spots last. Mr. Elephant, what are you up to today? Probably a sub-adult bull. Sometimes you get these bulls that might still be following a breeding herd, so maybe there's a breeding herd that he used to be part of and they might have moved through here and he's slowly following at a safe distance. So rhinos do the same thing, black rhinos. So when a female rhino gives birth to a new calf, she can sometimes be quite nasty to her sub-adult calf, just like with leopards. They'll chase them away and sometimes be quite aggressive towards their previous calf, but they need to be considerate of the fact that they have a newborn that they need to take care of and look after. But the sub-adults will sometimes follow at a little bit of a distance, hoping not to get in trouble or seen by mommy, but still a little bit too scared to venture out into the scary world by themselves. kind of clutching to that nest, not wanting to let go, should we say. Just listen to this elephant bull as he slurps up some water. So he'll probably spend the rest of his day feeding after he's left this watering hole. Looking for some nice browsing areas. So as the dry season also approaches, elephants will start adapting and changing the types of food that they feed on. So as the grass starts to become less and less abundant, they will then start feeding more on the trees, the branches, the leaves, stripping the trees as well for that cambium layer as you approach into the dry season. Seems quite playful, this big boy. Areas like this do receive quite heavy traffic, elephant traffic. You can see already, even though it's just the beginning of the dry season, this pan has been frequented quite a lot by elephants. Still got a bit of growing to do. He's got quite short tusks, this boy. He's not, I wouldn't say he's fully grown yet. He's probably, I'd take a guess, he's probably about 20-25 years of age. So some of these elephant bulls will fully sexually mature at about 30-35. That's when they are developing their full adult size. Really coming into their own. And the lifespan of some of these elephants, the savanna elephant or African bush elephant, is about between 60 to 70 years of age. This Asian elephant has a shorter lifespan, about 50 to 60 years of age. I'm not too sure why, it's quite unusual, although some individuals can reach 70, but there's a lot less Asian elephants that surpass the age of 60. Oh, see this elephant's holding his head up a little bit. Could be in musk. I think we've got a little bit more elephant activity over at Tembe Elephant Park, so why don't we head across to Tembe. Looks like we have a few more elephant bulls that have come down, and these two bulls that are close to us look like they are feeding on this mineral-rich soils that we were chatting about earlier. Also giving themselves a nice mud bath, protecting their skin from that harsh sunshine, as well as from any insects and parasites. Shame this bull on the right-hand side looks like he's got a bit of a nasty tear on his ear there. Could have been from moving very fast through the trees and through the vegetation. Could have been from a fight. What a strange sound. Let's have a listen. What is that? Gosh, what is that? Is that an impala? sounds like even a female impala. Maybe we'll have a bit of a scan around and see what that sound is. Okay, let's listen. What is that? It is quite a goat-like sound, Jordan's has commented. I've heard female impala do make strange guttural sounds like that. And I am seeing an impala on the other side of the bank here, I think in the thickets just to the right of where this other elephant is below the tree. So it could be a female impala. It could be an animal, a distress call of an antelope. What on earth? Let's have some guesses coming through, shall we? While we try and locate the sound, don't we have some of our viewers commenting and telling us what you think this strange sound is? I'm guessing a female impala, but I don't know if it's a distress call or if she's just communicating in a very loud manner. So here's the QR code on screen, which you can scan right now to send through those questions, those comments. What do you think is making this unusual sound? Okay, so we have some comments coming through. We're trying to get control of this camera so we can have a bit of a scan while these two elephant bulls are having it out. So Mr. H UAE 87 says it could be an impala. So yes, that was also my first guess because there's lots of impala around. Beans said it could be another birth. So I think, oh, check at this ball. Most antelope, when they give birth, they're normally quite silent to avoid attracting any attention to themselves. Callum thinks it could be a naturalist burping. Callum, I haven't had that much coffee today or a Coke, so it's definitely not me burping, I can guarantee that. I think Jordan can vouch for me there. But yeah, it does sound like a very strange guttural bellowing call, almost goat-like. Dark Mane Lover said it may be a predator that possibly has an impala by the neck. Yes, also does sound quite a lot like a distress call. Lots happening with our elephants here. We have some big boys challenging one another. Penelope Kenyon said also impala, sounds a bit like a sheep, almost sheep sound. I'd love to have a scan and see. At Mabula, BK and I, on a few occasions when we were huddled under a tree escaping the rain and had a herd of impala around us, we did hear some strange sounds that did sound very similar. The impala males are rutting at the moment, so but I don't think it's a male impala rutting. I think it's actually a female making a very strange sound while these elephant bulls challenge one another. Very unusual. These boys are having a bit of a standoff as the bigger bull decides that playing around with these young boys is not worth his time. So this is also a very important part of social bonding. So when bulls are younger, they do spar and fight with each other quite a lot. Might not always be a serious fight. It might just be a more playful fight. It's a very important part of developing their social bonds and also preparing for the big fight one day when they take on some bigger bulls. So another common practice in elephants often can be a sign of dominance. They do mount one another. He does note that other elephant is a bull, but yeah, mounting can be a sign of dominance in a lot of species, not just elephants, but I've also seen it in lions and leopards as well. Well, what's in this bush? There's something in this bush here. It could be the elephant's trunk. Our strange sound seems to have stopped, but I'll be quiet for a moment. We'll see if we can still hear our very unusual sound. There we go, there's something, I can hear something again. I heard some hardy-dars calling, and oh, it sounded like some trumpeter hornbills. I don't know if you heard those trumpeter hornbills calling, folks. It's been a long time since I heard a trumpeter hornbill. I'll find the call here and play it for you in case you missed it. Call of a trumpeter hornbill. Still calling in the background there, the trumpeter hornbill. There we go. Alright, if you missed the call, I've got a call here of a trumpeter hornbill I'll play for you while we watch these elephants dueling it out. It's not the most pleasant sound. It kind of sounds like a baby screaming. Shame, poor things. Our elephants are still fighting away. But yeah, it's my first time actually hearing a trumpeter hornbill calling here at Tembe Elephant Park. I can't remember. I think I've seen trumpeter hornbills in Isimongalisa wetland parks. So they occur in very forested, thick areas. I know in Victoria Falls, we do get them in the gorge there. They come out into the residential areas and spend a lot of time in the tropical rainforest of Victoria Falls. But yeah, my first time hearing trumpeter hornbills calling in Tembe Elephant Park. How crazy. Very cool. I didn't know they occurred there, but lovely to actually hear them, although their call is not so lovely. Look at these bulls going at each other. These bulls can go on for hours and hours sparring like this. It's quite a fascinating mix of social bonding, dominance, and in some cases it can turn quite aggressive in the older bulls if one bull doesn't stand down. Oh, check these guys go. Whoa.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Yeah, this elephant. Obviously, some of the elephants have gone down to the watering hole to have a bit of a drink. You can hear the splashing of the water. Not sure what this elephant bull is doing in this thick. Looks like a leadwood or Combretum and Berbies here. Maybe there's another little puddle that he is digging his way into. Generally, when you have these duels and these fights between elephant bulls, the loser will typically have to retreat in order to establish who is the more dominant male. Rarely fights do occur leading in one individual dying in the end. Unlike with giraffe, often with giraffe you'll get fights that do result in one giraffe being pummeled to the ground, and in some cases he can die as well. So elephants generally don't fight to the death, unlike with giraffe. So the victor who gains mating access and dominance in an area will generally be the one that remains behind. So the one that runs away is the loser of the battle, of the duel, and the victor will be the one that still remains in the area. So Julian Thomas, thanks for your comment there about the trumpeter hornbills. Yeah, very, very cool to hear them. I know, obviously they're very restricted to their habitat, so I know you did miss them on your trip when you came to South Africa, even though you did hit some hotspot areas. Again, they're very restricted to habitat. They need to have thick forested regions. They do move locally, but again, they'll seem to always move from one very forested thick region to the other, these trumpeter hornbills. For me, I think the best places I would say for trumpeter hornbills in South Africa, I've seen lots of trumpeter hornbills. Isilamungalisa Wetland Park, we definitely saw on a daily basis trumpeter hornbills. I think Richards Bay, we also saw trumpeter hornbills there as well. Obviously here in Tembe Elephant Park, a great place to see them. And then in Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls. Victoria Falls is going to be your winner for Zimbabwe, as well as the Eastern Highlands in Nyanga. It's another lovely, more wetland area, as well as an area where there's lots of mountains and perfect forested conditions for these trumpeter hornbills. I've definitely seen them quite a lot. I grew up as a kid, remember growing up in Victoria Falls, and you constantly had them in your garden, eating your pawpaws and any fruit, your papayas and any fruit in your yard. So I remember, yeah, it was a bit of a nuisance. They are frugivores. They do like to feed on big nuts and fruit, which is not surprising because they have these giant big casts on their bills, very big bills, very strong, and perfect for cracking open nuts and feeding on large fruit. Why don't we head across back to the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Centre, folks, and see if we can get another view on our cheetah Tammy with her little cubs. Oh, check out these little precious creatures. It seems like they're tired now. They're done with their suckling. Have a look at this little one that's got a tail in his face. Just napping on Tammy's feet there. How cute. Having a nice afternoon nap. So I'm having a look, folks. If you want to see the male cheetah, these little cheetah cubs' father, Spotless, he is on the Hoedspruit Endangered Species Center's Instagram page. I thought I saw a picture of him somewhere the other day. There's a picture of him. So yeah, obviously this is the father and very handsome male that has sired 4 little cheetah cubs. Yeah, if they grow up to look anything like Tammy or their father Spotless, I'm sure that they will be very charming little cheetah one day. Again, I'm not too sure where Spotless got his name from because he's very much spotty. So I have popped the Endangered Species Center a Instagram message. So yeah, tomorrow I'll let you know if I hear anything about how Tammy got her name. Yeah, look at these little cute precious souls. Very safe place for them to be close to their mum. So they often fall asleep while suckling, and then they wake up and they carry on suckling a little bit. You see every now and then you got a little foot moving. Check out these little guys. They just make you want to go and curl up somewhere warm and take a nap. Just like our hippos earlier in the show. So we have a question here from Kaz. So Kaz is wanting to know the sex of the cheetah cub. So I don't know what the sex of these cheetah cubs are yet, Kaz. It is quite difficult to determine the sex of cheetah cubs in the early stages. So normally when they're a few weeks old, it might be a bit easier to determine the sex of these cubs. But again, like I mentioned earlier, these cheetah are in a center, so an endangered species center. It doesn't mean that anyone in the center has access to touching these cheetah. They're not being interfered with by humans. They live in their enclosure. Tammy is in full charge of her little cubs. They haven't interfered in any way. Tammy's been the female has been the one moving the cubs around. Yes, she is artificially fed, but so it is very difficult to actually determine the sex in these little guys. But there are some ways once they get a bit bigger, so the visual inspection of their obviously genital areas, you can sometimes tell the male and female, but normally at about 3 to 6 months in the wild it becomes a bit easier. So the male cubs start to show slightly broader head and more robust build, and females tend to stay a little bit smaller and more slender. But remember, we have one semi-runt in this little litter of cheetah cubs. So the cheetah that was born last could also be a lot smaller in size. So if you're not able to do a physical exam to inspect these little cheetah or to see little genitalia, then at about 3 to 6 months of age, that's when it'll be a bit more prominent in their body size and head size, if it's a male or a female. And then at about a year old, the male cheetahs will definitely be a lot more prominent in their muscles around their shoulders, thicker necks, and they look a lot bigger than the female. So female cheetah generally tend to retain a very long, slender and sleek build, rather than the little males.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
To predators. So it's crazy how nature has all these natural defense mechanisms to help protect little creatures from predators. So that fluffy mantle or fluffy patch of fur behind their neck can also be used by the female to help carry these little cubs from one area to another when hiding them from predators. So it's very interesting. There's a documentary on Netflix. Is it Netflix or Disney Plus? No, I think it's Disney Plus, and I think it's called Living with Leopards. It's a documentary shot over a period of 3 years, so filmed over a period of 3 years in the Delta, following a female leopard and her life and her cubs that she has, and very interesting to see social dynamics there and how she has to move these cubs around in order to avoid even just other male leopards that might be in the area. Because if a male leopard does find cubs that do not belong to him, he could very easily kill those little cubs, and that's why, especially with leopard females will often mate with as many males as they can to spread the gene pool and hopefully prevent her cubs from being killed by males. So if a male approaches her, he might think the cubs belong to him and thus not killing the cubs. So thanks, and Jordan. So Jordan commented that I think the documentary I mentioned, Living with Leopards, is on Netflix, not Disney Plus. So lots of incredible documentaries out there that you can watch. Between mostly Disney Plus and Netflix do have some very educational documentaries out there that give a lot of opportunities for us to see things that you wouldn't normally be able to see. Night on Earth is another incredible documentary I definitely recommend. And another one that's got some info about cheetahs called Our Universe. I think the first episode is also focused around and based on a cheetah. Our Universe. So incredible how everything is linked to each other. So important to protect these endangered species, because every creature, no matter how big, no matter how small, is so important in the evolutionary chain of command and in the circle of life. So if you remove predators from an area, often there'll be then a decrease in plant species. So I think, again, another documentary I watched where you remove jaguars and leopards out of the forest. Next thing, there was too much food was being eaten, so there wasn't any grass, wasn't any leaves, because there was too many herbivores. Next thing, the termites destroyed what was left, and the whole forest structure just started to collapse. So that's why protecting endangered species like these cheetah and wild dogs, lions and leopards is so important, because they fill such an important role in the ecosystem. Look at these little faces. So they've been suckling, even though trying to nap. Now you get these tiny little cheetah faces poking their way out of their mummy's fluff. Oop! How adorable. See a little foot, a little bit of movement every now and then, a little foot moving. Oh, pangolins. So pangolins, another very endangered species that are quite difficult to raise in captivity. So the only pangolins I've ever seen were in West Africa. I've seen the white-bellied tree pangolin, and again it was a rescued pangolin. So often what happens with these pangolins, as well as a lot of antelope species or even predators, when they're being stashed in a bush or a thicket while the mother goes out to feed, some people might stumble across these little babies on their own. So it's always best to leave nature in the place that you've found. Like, you find a little baby creature, always just best to leave it there, because often people might find a little supposedly abandoned antelope or little creature and they think that it's been left by its mother, when in actual fact it's just been stashed and hidden somewhere until the mother comes back. And what happens with pangolins quite often is the female will walk across a road and then the baby might be following, and a lot of people end up picking these babies up thinking they don't have a mother, but in actual fact they were following their mother shortly behind. So yeah, this was an abandoned pangolin that was then rehomed, and yeah, so then there's a pangolin research rescue center over in Central African Republic at Sanga Lodge, run by Mr. Rod Cassidy. I'm sure many of you have heard of Rod Cassidy, and they do rescue, rehabilitate and reintroduce pangolins into the wild. And they actually use a formula of powdered cat's milk to feed to these little pangolins. Very specific formula. They feed the pangolins so that they get enough nutrients in their diet, and then they successfully have reintroduced many little pangolins back into the wild. Just like these baby cheetah will hopefully be reintroduced into the wild one day to also live out their lives in the natural environment and hopefully diversify the genetic range, add some new genes into a new area, and also have their own little cheetah cubs of their own. No. How cute. Can never get over how adorable these little cheetah cubs are. Tammy's beautiful golden eyes. Alrighty folks, well, Jive Bunny, thank you for joining us. It has been a lovely afternoon. Just some last comments. Candace, thank you also for your comments. And yeah, it's been amazing being with you today live at the Waterhole. I look forward to joining you tomorrow as well, same time, same place. And yeah, hope you have a lovely Tuesday afternoon, folks. From me and the rest of the Wild Earth team, just want to say cheerio and have a fabulous Tuesday afternoon.